Chanadana Bhuya Kataya Triptirhi Bhuya Kataya Triptirhi Shrinvato Nasti Me Mritam Shrinvato Nasti Me Mritam Vistarenatmano Yogam Vibhutim Cha Chanadana Bhuyakataya Triptirhi Shrinvato Nasti Me Mritam. Please chant. Vistarenatmano Yogam Vistarenatmano Yogam Vibhutim Cha Chanadana Bhuyakataya Triptirhi Shrinvato Nasti Me Mritam Vistarenatmano Yogam Vibhutim Cha Chanadana Triptirhi Matachis. Visarena in detail. Atmanaha, your Yogam, mystic power. Vibhutim, opulences. Cha, also. Chanadana, O killer of the atheists. Bhuyaha, again. Kataya, describe. Triptihi, satisfaction. He, certainly. Shrinvata, hearing. Na asti, there is not. Me, my. Amritam, nectar. Nein, ich habe nur was nachgedacht. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. O Chanadana, again please describe in detail the mystic power of your opulences. I'm never satiated in hearing about you, for the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your words. Purport. A similar statement was made to Sutta Goswami by the rishis of Naimisharanya, headed by Shonaka. That statement is, Vayam tuna vidripyama utama shloka vikrame yachrinvatam rasakyanam svadu pade pade. One can never be satiated even though one continuously hears the transcendental pastimes of Krishna, who is glorified by excellent prayers. Those who have entered into a transcendental relationship with Krishna relish at every step the descriptions of the pastimes of the Lord. Thus, Arjuna is interested in hearing about Krishna and specifically how he remains as the all-pervading Supreme Lord. Now, as far as Amritam, nectar, is concerned, any narration or statement concerning Krishna is just like nectar. And this nectar can be perceived by practical experience. Modern stories, fiction, and histories are different from the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, in that one will tire of hearing mundane stories, but one never tires of hearing about Krishna. It is for this reason only that the history of the whole universe is replete, wie sagt man? Is replete with references to the pastimes of the incarnations of Godhead. The Puranas are histories of bygone ages that relate the pastimes of the various incarnations of the Lord. In this way, the reading matter remains forever fresh, despite repeating readings. Om Jnanatimidandasya Gananshana Shalakaya Chakshurmanitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Panchakalpadarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaiva cha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasari Gaura Bhaktarinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. O Janardana, again, please describe in detail the mystic power of your opulences. I am never satiated in hearing about you, for the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your words. Hast du das Wort schon rausgefunden? Wie spricht man so aus? Replete. Okay, danke. Thank you. Yeah, I almost started to burst out in tears for ecstasy because I had to remember some incident about this verse. We had once, after the Prabhupada Marathon, we had 1 week of reading. Mohan was so inspired, he went to Vrindavan, to Govardhan Palace. It's a temple at the Govardhan Hill, ISKCON temple, where His Holiness, or His Grace, Vaisheshika Prabhu is every Kartik, and he's reading for 1 month one scripture, and for example like Madhya Lila or Antya Lila, like in 5 weeks, and every day they read for 5 hours, I think. They all come together, or 7 hours, and everyone has his ebook or his book, and then they read together. Everyone reads for a couple of minutes, or 1 shloka, 1 purport. And Gomahan went there, and he was so inspired. I was in Marathon with Bhakta Ben, and we were together, no? Bhakta Ben, you and me, and we were in Freising, and we picked up Gomahan from the airport. Huh? 70. Yeah, we were 4 people in the van, and then Gomahan just came back fresh from Vrindavan, full in ecstasy, and he shared the glories of reading scriptures together in the Holy Dham in Kartik. And I was always so like, when I'm in the Dham, I don't want to read for 5 hours, There's so much stuff to do, so many lectures to hear, so much to absorb, parikrams, kirtans, and so on. And I could never relate to it so much. But anyways, he had like a special Shakti because he read so much there. And I remember one time we also went there, and we didn't have the opportunity to read so much, but you were also with us, I think. But it was really nice to be in Vrindavan at this place with Navina Nirada Prabhu, Vaisheshika Prabhu, Keshava Bharati Maharaj. Was quite enlivening, this association, especially Keshava Bharati Maharaj, who spoke about reading out loud is most powerful, because you not only hear your mind, you also hear really loud what you read. So you have to double the effect. And he said, when Sankirtan devotees called him in the marathon, and when they had a struggle and some difficulties, then they called him, and then he didn't answer whatever was their concern. He just started reading Chaitanya Charitamrita for them out loud. And he said, then all of a sudden the whole atmosphere changed. And he's doing every day, he reads out loud. And then they counted the shlokas and the pages, and there's this app, PSH, page per page. So it's an app, you can calculate how many pages, or if you have an ebook, how many verses you have to read a day, that you can finish the Bhagavatam in 1 year. Huh? Or 1 month or 1 day. Yeah, in 1 month. In 1 day, yeah. Like you have for 42 verses, I think, was the whole Bhagavatam in 1 year. No, sorry, 2 years. 21 verses, it's 1 year. I also Chaitanya Charitamrita started once. I think it was also 43 verses or something. It takes you a year or two. I started it, but I couldn't keep up. At one point, I stopped. But it was nice. For a couple of months, I was reading every day my quota. It became sometimes a little bit automatically because I want to have my quota. But still, it's better to read your quota than to read nothing. And I already read the books, so I thought like, okay, second time now. And Maharaj is doing this every day. He reads a chapter a day or something. Or Govinda Kund also, when I traveled with him on Sankirtan, he was reading a chapter a day of Srimad Bhagavatam. Like many hours, and then he went out, or he was very fixed every day. Only one time he couldn't manage because it was such a long chapter. He said, oh no, I couldn't do it. But then he had like, in each month he read 1 or 2 cantos like that. So it's nice. You can finish Bhagavatam quite, quick if you want. But that's not the point. You can read the first canto, first verse for the whole life. You can get always something new out of it. So, I also prefer nowadays to read it more slow and understand what is written here and reflect and make notes and go deeper. It's much more exciting because then you really can remember what you read and can give it to other people. But still, it's nice to know the Bhagavatam and read it in one go. So, and then Keshav Bharati Maharaj, he spoke about that, and it was very inspiring. And then in this marathon after, we did this in the van. We had a shorter morning program, and we were 5 people in one van. And this time, we started with 4, we ended up with 5. And we had also the idea, we wake up very early at 3 o'clock, 3:30, and then we do the morning program very quick. And then instead of a Bhagavatam class, we read, I can't remember the amount, but we read out loud Chaitanya Charitamrita. The tree of devotional service, I think it was 9 chapter or something we started, and Adi Lila. And it was quite nice. And still now, when my mind is like jumping around, I still read out loud. Because it's very easy to focus the mind. But then after some time I always try to, read soft. Also when I chant first loud and then more and more soft and softer. It's good for the mind, to keep the mind engaged. And to hear, and I can feel my tongue, my voice opens up, my hearing opens up. Sometimes I understand even more when I read it out loud. But the deeper reading for me is still when I read it in my mind. But you have to start somewhere. But to come back to this verse, Vayam tu na vitri pyama uttama shloka vikrame yat shinvatam rasa kyanam svadu pade pade. And this specific marathon, not the one that I told you now where we read the CC together, it was 1 year or 2 years before, where Gormohan came back from Vrindavan and told us about the glories of reading every day 5 hours. And then we had the whole marathon, and I think Gormohan was very empowered. He did like every day 100 to 150 Maha big books. And very enlivening to see how powerful reading our scriptures can be. And also at a very bad time, I remember a bad day, and then he said, why don't you take 2 hours off in the morning and it was very cold outside, just go in some coffee shop or some bakery, order some tea, and just read for 2 hours. And that I did. I went in this shop, I ordered some tea, sitting there and was reading for 2 hours. And it was so nice. I felt after these 2 hours, I felt so empowered and enlivened. And I could do more books than the days before, and I was more happy and focused on the street. But to come back to this verse, then we came back after the marathon, and Gorman had the idea, why don't we read for 1 week, every day for 5 hours? So we arranged the services in that way that we all could read together. I mean, everything was a little bit mixed up in the end because we were brahmacharis, and then were the matachis with the children, and the children were reading, and everything was like a little bit chaotic, but still nice. But I think it's easier when you with brahmacharis and have brahmachari association when you study the scriptures. Anyways, and then we were reading, and then we came to this verse, and somebody was reading. One can never be satiated even though one continuously hears the transcendental pastimes of Krishna, who is glorified by excellent prayers. Those who have entered into a transcendental relationship with Krishna relish at every step the description of the pastimes of the Lord. As you can imagine, I was very tired after the marathon, and I was always falling asleep. And exactly when Gormohan or someone read this verse, I start snoring. And then one can never be satiated, and everyone was laughing. And I could hear it somehow in my mind, like I could hear when they were reading this, and I was like dozing off and start snoring a bit. I was so tired, and then we can see sometimes we're not on this level. We can't hear properly. We have no taste. Why we have no taste? I don't know. It's so interesting. But still, we try again and again. We come again and again to the morning program, to the lectures. Or I came late now for Gaudati. I had pranayama course. And then after, Akila was there also, Akila Prabhu. And yeah, we had a nice talk about Srimad Bhagavatam, because I gave him the wrong verse. I wrote chapter 24 this week instead of 25, because I got mixed up with the Gaur Kada week, and there was still written 24 somehow. Yeah, and he was like, came to me, I kill you. How could you do this to me? I prepared for the whole class, and you gave me the wrong verse. I said, yeah, if you would have known, like you had other classes, then you would have known we're in the 25th chapter. But I said, please, apology, I will never happen again. But anyways, then somehow we started to speak about Srimad Bhagavatam and preparing for a lecture, and how important it is to not only read and hear, that is more important to also give lectures. It's so nice, because then you have to really think about it, reflect, understand. You can't just go on the Vyasa. Okay, today I just came, I didn't look at the book, I had no time. Actually, I thought I find someone who can speak. Actually, I thought Bashar will speak today. Komhan suggested in the morning. No, but I thought I find someone, then I completely forgot, and now I'm sitting here. But the verse is very nice, and I could remember some pastimes. Shri Shri Prahlad Nishingadev Bhagavan Ki Jai. But if you prepare for a class, it's much, much better. Not because you only speak here, but because you have to be like, if you have like a few days in advance to prepare, then you meditate about the verse, about the purport, maybe make some notes, and then you read other stuff, read other scriptures, and then all of a sudden everything is connected. Or you go to a lecture, or you hear a lecture, and all of a sudden you get new insights in this verse. And it always happens to me that when I have a few days to prepare, so much ideas come, and then you speak about it, and then you remember it. And the cool thing is, if you speak, now at the moment, maybe all of you, or only one, or no one, I don't know your mind, but most of the time when we sit in a class, we completely spaced out, and our mind goes somewhere else. Sometimes more, sometimes less, but I think I never had a lecture where from the beginning till the end, every second absorbed and could remember. Or is it just me? I don't know. Yeah, but if you sit here on the Vyasasan, there's no time to space out. I have no time to think about my material desires or something else, because I have to speak now about Krishna Katha, and somehow I have to present something what you like and can uplift us. So I have to think and pray and be humble and whatever, So yeah, to give a class is very important. It gives so much insights. And Akila said to me, Akila Prabhu, it's good to give class because you get to know yourself and the devotees get to know you. Maybe somebody speaks really nicely in the prasadam room and preaches to the new bhaktas and don't do that, don't do this or whatever. But when he sits on the Vyasasan, you can see his mind. You can see what is in his heart. You can see his stage of consciousness. So it's nice to hear from devotees, to hear them speaking. Also sometimes I have some, how you say, Vorurteil. Wie? Yeah. Vorurteil. I have prejudgment. I see this devotee, and then I don't know him, and then I see some stuff maybe I don't like he's doing or whatever, But this is on the Vyasasan, and all of a sudden your heart is melting, like wow, like fouled. Or like we have this example with Gadada Pandit, when Mukunda told him about Pundarik Vidyanidhi, how elevated he is, and I don't know if he suggested him that he should become his guru or something, but he went there and he saw Pundarik Vidyanidhi, and he was rich, and he was lying around, and he was like nicely dressed with nice food, and everything was like sense enjoyment pure. And Gadada Pandit, sorry, I really speak so fast because I want to end quickly. So schnell spreche ich echt? I had got pranayama. I had just a pranayama course, and I also spoke too fast. It was translated in Russian or Ukrainian. Then I had to speak very slow, but it was good. We were still in time. Judgments, lecture. Punjarik Vidanidi. Yeah, thank you. And then Gadada was thinking, who is this? Like, I don't know. I can't see that he is so advanced. Like, look at this, his sense gratification, and he couldn't see what an elevated devotee Punjarik Vidanidi was. And then Mukunda starts singing, or he quoted some verse about Krishna, and I can't remember all this. About Putana, oh yeah. Oh yeah, how merciful. Yeah, about Putana, yeah. And then he became completely ecstatic and rolling on the ground and tears flowing from his ears, eyes. And all of a sudden Gadada Pandit could see how elevated this soul is. When he hears about Krishna, he is full of ecstasy and joy, and he surrendered unto Pundarik Vidanidi. What was in Krishna Lila, Gadada is Radharani, and Pundarik Vidanidi is Prishabhanu, the father of Radharani in Krishna Lila. So he accepted him as a spiritual master. Also, spiritual master represents the father also. So we had the same kind of Lila relationship in the Gauda age. Yeah, and we have sometimes this judgment. We don't know who is speaking here. Who is this soul? I mean, we don't know each other. Maybe, one of us maybe is a pure devotee, came directly from the spiritual world. Could be. I mean, Prabhupada was, and maybe many more. It says only an Uttama Bhakta can see another Uttama Bhakta. Only a pure devotee can see a pure devotee. Sometimes devotees they say, "Oh, Prabhu, you're such a pure Vaishnava," and or I say to someone, but who are we to say, who are we to? But we should always think like this soul is closer to Krishna than me, because we know all our faults, all our misdeeds, all our wrong conceptions and sinful activities in our hearts, and we know, and Krishna also knows. So we should see ourselves always very humble as the servant. We should always understand that I'm not the doer, I'm not the controller, I'm not the best devotee. I'm trying to become better, and I want to become like Pundarik Vidanidi, who cries when he hears about Krishna. But we have to practice. We have to start somewhere. We can't just wake up one day and we hope now we have love of Godhead. It will never happen. Of course, Krishna's mercy, everything is possible. But we can't expect to just wake up and all of a sudden we are Krishna conscious. We can't expect that all of a sudden the whole world will be Krishna conscious. I mean, Prabhupada said, I didn't read it today, but I wanted to read it. And this is my request. And on the back, there's this quote, like part of the quote, and in the end he says, and this Krishna consciousness will spread automatically when you distribute this knowledge. And I was thinking, automatically. Prabhupada says this will spread automatically. And the seeds are planted in each house, in each village. The books are everywhere. And maybe not in this lifetime, but in the next lifetime, these people will start a devotional service. But how should we make the whole world Krishna conscious? The Gauranga, the golden age, the Gauranga Yuga will not just fall from the heaven, and everyone will chant Haribol, Haribol, Gauranga, Hare Krishna. We never have. Look out in the world how crazy it is now. Yeah, but we have to start somewhere. We have to become this pure devotees Prabhupada wanted. And then we can make other pure devotees, and they make other pure devotees. And if we would go out now all on the streets to chant Hare Krishna, all devotees in the world, when there was this bomb attack in Bangladesh on this ISKCON temple, then all the devotees went out in all the different communities and for a demonstration, and they did Harinams many hours to protest against the violence in Bangladesh. But why only they go out when there's some violence? There's everyday violence. Shame on us. We should all go out doing Harinam, book distribution, give prasadam. Now in Ukraine, I see the news, it's amazing. The devotees, they're preaching like anything. Like They're not afraid. They're going out, the brahmacharis, and distributing prasadam, giving the people what they need right now. The people need Krishna, and we need to give it to them. Otherwise, we're doing violence. It's not a himsa, it's himsa. Should be Jiva Doyle, merciful to the Jivas. So we have to do our part, somehow or other, whatever we can. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, if we always chant continuously, if we always connected with the holy name, and whoever we meet, if we tell them about Krishna, then the three modes of material nature will have no influence on us. So that's the secret. Always chant and always give Krishna to whoever you meet. Then we will be safe. And we can do it in any way. Even if you go shopping to Lidl and you just say, "Good morning, sir. Have a nice day." And he says, "Oh, thank you so much. Wow, what a nice guy." And he thinks about you positively. You already benefited. So we don't need to take books and preach to everyone or chant Hare Krishna. Of course, there's not, of course the best way, but just be nice. Be a nice devotee yourself. I went to my parents now to the funeral for my grandfather, and the whole philosophy is upside down. And I knew if I preach to them now, say something, it will disturb them. So I was just be there for them, preach by example. Like I was the only one. I was not like shaken for my grandfather's death. I was completely neutral. I was still happy. I was like focused. I could have normal conversations, not so emotional, and they appreciated. They said, "Wow, you're so calm and you look so good," and it was nice to be there for them, to show them there's something more. And even this Christian lady she spoke about, Sigi, my grandfather's name, Sigi, he's not dead. It's only his Hülle, how you say, his covering lying here, burned to ashes. But Sigi, he went to the heaven of God, the kingdom of God. He went to the heaven, and he will enjoy his every youthful youth or something like this. I was like, wow, sounds like exactly our philosophy. But they don't understand. They interpret it somehow differently. But it's there. They have it. Yeah. So, in order to give people Krishna, we only can give what we have. If we don't have Krishna in our hearts, even though He's always there, we can't give it to others. And we can get Krishna, how? From His devotees. And the best is to have association through hearing. Then the dust will be purified in your heart, and then Krishna will sit down, and you will have association with the Lord in your heart. And then you have this overflow of Krishna consciousness. And like, I make now really good pizza without yeast. Very good. I will make it soon for you. Because I know it's really tasty. And I tried it many times before I serve it to you. I can even offer it to the Lord because there's no yeast inside. Chai. Okay, cheese, we have to think about, make our own cheese. But it's a really good pizza and it's healthy. I want to share it with you. Yeah. I have overflow. Not of pizzas, but of cheese. Lots of cheese at home. I will make nice pizza for you. In the same way, if we have Krishna conscious, if we are enlivened from our sadhana, from our practice, then we want to share it. Hey, please take Krishna. Take it with you. That's the secret. Srinvata Swagata Krishna. Punya Shravana Kirtana. Ich weiß gar nicht mehr, wer das ist. Badrani, ne? Was waren die letzten zwei Zeilen? Und die Übersetzung? Herzen, genau. Which resides in the heart. He removes the obstacles. Yeah, so hearing about Krishna, that's the secret. I need to relearn all these verses. Thank you. time over. Any questions? Any comments? Yeah.
One thing is you spoke about, like, you don't know who our devotees are. And I'm thinking maybe it's inspiring for all of you to hear. Because there was one devotee is in here, and I will not tell you who he is. But he told me that he had a dream, and in the dream he was a gopi, and he was making ornaments, and then he was also putting ornaments on the body of Srimati Radharani.
Wow.
So nobody knows who it is. You can serve everyone like that. Maybe it's
I will ask everyone, and then this person maybe will tell it.
and the other thing is, like you remember, a few days ago, there was this big cake from Gorpani, and Mikael, he was enthusiastic, and so we went to all the neighbors, and we distributed cake.
And my flyers.
No, not yet.
No? Okay.
Not yet. And it was nice. It was very nice. People could. And
Yeah.
there were some houses, I didn't even know that those houses are there. It's like somewhere in the forest.
Yeah, give out the mercy. Shine. Samira also, she goes to the mountains. She will distribute some books there. In the mountains. No, really? Yeah, you should take one book at least or two. On the airport. Some English books. I always take books when I travel. It's nice to have some books. You get to know so many nice people. Sometimes they give really nice donations and taking some books, and you feel good. I was also in Cape Town. I went to the airport because it's difficult there to distribute books, and then my favorite spot, one of the favorite spots, was the airport. But you can't see. So I had one bag in my hand, or a laptop bag, and two small books in my fingers behind the bag, like this. Just walking around, and the people get so much Lakshmi, like really. I got 5 times more than in Germany. Everyone had so much money there, and everyone took books. It was really nice. But he caught me once, but. Yeah. But airport you can do books. If you say something and say, "Oh, you didn't know," you stop. Kripasindu, we were once in what is this country? When we went to India, we stopped there 24 hours. Muscat oder so. Muscat, gibt's das? Oman. Yeah, and Kripasindu distributed books there, and even the police came and looked at him, and he didn't stop. And it's forbidden there to distribute other religious texts. And then he had these two, like, I don't know, they were covered completely, dressed like white, and you could only see the eyes, like two men. And they were inviting him for drink. They were sitting down with him drinking orange juice. It was the first day of Kartik. And they distributed, 30 books or something on the airport there. And then the police came, they asked him what he's doing, and he explained it, and he just left. And I really thought they will arrest him. Yeah, something like this. Like, he did quite well. And everything started because I did a few books in Munich. I met a friend of my mother on the airport in Munich, and he took a few books. And then Kripasindu got, okay, I also have to do books. Then he couldn't stop. So it's addictive. If you see other people giving out books, you also want to do it. Okay, any questions? Otherwise, we end now. Ja. Ah? Gute Zeit zu Ende. Ja. You can there's something like earphones and phone, and then you connect it and you listen to Prabhupada and you go to bed. I will do this now because I have to do some spiritual business at home. Okay, thank you. Shri Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. All of you ki jai. Advaita Simha Prabhu ki jai.
Bhagavad.